Hi, I'm Tomlin, and I am a YouTuber and online course creator. And I'm going to share 10 of the most important lessons that I've learned over the last 10 years. Now, for those of you who don't know, I teach blues harmonica, and I've been doing that since 2010 when I started in my living room. From that point, I moved on to uploading videos in 2012. That's right, I'm a millennial. And then teaching people via Skype and Zoom all over the world, to creating standalone courses and eventually a membership site all around blues harmonica. Normally when I tell people this, their first question is, what does your wife do? They just don't think we can make it work. Anyway, the first most important lesson that I can share is that the business model is extremely simple. You start by building an audience, and that doesn't have to be on YouTube, but that's what worked for me, and it's great for anyone teaching a musical instrument. Then you need to bring them onto your mailing list using something called a lead magnet. That's a free thing that they'll find useful on their learning journey. Then, now that you have them on your mailing list, you can ask them what they want you to make, and then you make it and you sell it to them. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. When you start looking into online business and courses and people talking about funnels and marketing and all this kind of thing, it's overcomplicating. And I think the most important thing is to just get started and course correct rather than trying to get it right from the beginning. Now, the next really important lesson is don't wait to have professional equipment before you get started. Now, when I uploaded my first videos in 2012, I was using a flip camera. You probably don't even remember what they were, but they were teeny tiny cameras, very low res, terrible audio, but they were extremely easy to use. And we're all much luckier now because we all have amazing phones that can take great video, and that's the best way to get started. I didn't have good lighting, I didn't have good audio, I just got started, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Don't look at all of the beautiful YouTube channels out there and think, shit, I need to make beautiful YouTube videos to get going. Instead, just get going and then keep doing small improvements as you go along. Now, the next thing that I think is a bit of a point of confusion for a lot of people is that you need a giant channel to earn a living in YouTube land. Now, yes, if you wanted to earn a living with AdSense, then I think having a really big channel in a really profitable niche, it might be the way to go. You can make money doing that. But if you are taking people away from YouTube into your own ecosystem and your own courses and products, then you can have a small audience of people who are very engaged. So try not to focus on numbers that aren't really that important. I remember when I was running an in-person teaching studio, I interviewed a potential singing teacher. And at the time, when she came to her interview, she was telling me that she actually had a YouTube channel. And when I went onto her YouTube channel, it had 300,000 subscribers. And this was back in 2016, so early days. That was a legit YouTube channel, and she had no idea what to do with it, and she was just making money through AdSense, and that wasn't enough. And I had at the time a teeny tiny channel, and I was already starting to earn a living from it. And actually, I hit 6 figures in revenue with a YouTube channel of 60,000 people. So it really doesn't have to be a huge amount. It's all about trying to provide extra value for people when you take them away from YouTube. And I know that's going to be really unpopular for the algorithm, telling people to take people away from YouTube, but YouTube is just a tool like any other thing that you're going to use for your business. Now, the next big thing that I think is important for people to know is that, in my opinion, you shouldn't be spending money unless you don't have time. I come across so many people starting businesses, online businesses, who spend lots of money on expensive software, on hiring lots of freelancers and team members, on lots of expensive equipment before they've actually made any sales. And I think that that's the wrong way to do it. I think you should start from the absolute leanest, most bare bones version of your business and try and make a little bit of money doing that before you iterate on it. And I remember that, I was a working musician, so I was teaching 30, 40 lessons a week. I was gigging 5 nights a week. And I started getting these random emails from dudes in Texas, of all places, saying, hey, would you teach me harmonica on Zoom or Skype? I think it was Skype at that time. And, I was a hungry musician, so I said, of course I will. This is the greatest thing ever. I can start tapping into a different time zone. Because for those of you who don't know, if you're teaching music lessons, you generally teach after school and early evening, and that's it. So you've got all this time during the day where you could be teaching, but there's no one to teach. But if you have people in different time zones, then you can start to tap into that. And to me, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I did that, and I was teaching in person, and I was gigging, and starting to make money. And it was only when I started having kind of too much to do, not enough time, that it started making sense buying tools, bits of software, and even hiring people. So I didn't hire my VA until I'd been doing this for a few years. It wasn't until I think it was Christmas 2018 that I hired my VA, and she's still with me now. So really don't jump in by spending money. Just start extremely lean. You don't need a lot. Use free versions of tools. And that leads me on to the next thing, which I think is extremely important to know. And that is that tools are not the most important decision that you're going to make around your business. I see tons of people getting paralyzed by fear of getting the customer relationship manager software absolutely right from the beginning, picking the right website software, picking the right learning management system software, or video editing, or whatever it is. And all of these things are not that important. You pick one, and if it doesn't work, then you move on to another one. But all the software that you might be using for an online course business, they all have limitations. There are learning management systems that are great for standalone courses but not good for memberships. There are systems that are great for memberships but not for communities. And I tried to make all of these different tools fit my needs as a course creator, and they didn't, because none of them were perfect. So when I decided to just kind of let go of control and just accept that all of the tools have things they're good at and things they're not great at, and I just need to pick one and lean into it and learn it really well and just build all of my business around what it does well. And unless there's something catastrophically wrong with the tool, you're probably going to be okay. So please don't get hung up on, should you be using Teachable or School or Kajabi or LearnDash? It doesn't really matter at the beginning. Just start and keep trying to make it work, okay? Now, one of the things that I really, really, really struggled with for years and years and years is being extremely sensitive to what people think about me. I want, and I've always wanted everybody to love me, right? And that's not a healthy place to be. And it's meant over time, when I've uploaded videos and started looking at comments that people have been putting, people have said things that have really, really upset me. They've really kind of called into question my musical ability or my personality or any of that kind of stuff. And at the beginning, it really, really threw me. And there was some comments, especially around things that I was very sensitive about, which were actually selling courses. I felt very guilty about it. Maybe that's a British thing, feeling bad about selling to your audience, but I felt extremely bad about selling to my audience. And if I got comments that said anything about that, people would say things like, "Oh, it's disgusting that you're charging people for this. You should give it away for free," or "This is way too expensive. How dare you do this?" And some of them were really, really rude. Some people got really upset that I was asking for people's email addresses for PDF downloads for my lessons. People get upset over some ridiculous stuff, and I would lose sleep over some of these things, and then I'd think, shit, maybe I need to change my entire business model so that I'm not being that person that this person doesn't want me to be. But the more I did it, the more I uploaded, I got more relaxed about those negative comments, and I started to ignore them. And I decided that it was really important to look at how many of the same type of comment I'm getting. Now, if I get one person or a couple of people saying the same thing, it's not enough for me to change direction. It doesn't make sense. If 20 people say exactly the same criticism in a short space of time, then I'm probably doing something wrong in my business. I'm probably presenting myself in a way that's not good for my students or for myself. And so at that point, it probably makes sense to alter the course. But single comments or one or two comments, even if they really lock into your deepest insecurities, which they will, it's the internet. People are very good at finding what your deepest insecurities are. Then, just ignore it. Really try and ignore it. And if you want, just don't even read the comments once you get to a certain audience size. I think that you are in charge of your own business and life and online presence and how you interact with it. Remember that. That's important. Now, the next big lesson, I think, might be a lesson for some people, but it was a huge, huge lesson for me, and so I want to share it with you because it's completely insane. I was really, really, really scared to sell courses to my audience. So much so that I spent an entire year building out a 3-year-long blues harmonica curriculum. And I did all that. I got to the end of that year, which was the most stressful year of my life because I had got a small handful of people to pre-test this curriculum. So I had to create the curriculum for them. So I had to be putting out 3 months worth of content because people were going through at different levels every single month for a year. This was just the most insane amount of videos I'd ever filmed, and just kind of putting it out there, getting it all edited. I had my video editor live with us for the whole year, and it was the closest I've been to doing something extremely final, let's just put it like that, to myself. It was so unbelievably stressful, and with hindsight, all of that stress was put onto myself by myself. But at the time, I didn't know that. Anyway, I spent a year doing this, built this curriculum that I was really proud of, and that the people who went through it thought was super cool. And then I spent an entire other year after that being too afraid to launch it to the public. So I had this product, which I knew was good, I knew I was proud of, but I was too nervous to tell my YouTube audience about. I was too nervous to sell it. And it was actually completely nuts. I had one coaching call with someone who wasn't even a business coach yet. They were doing free business coaching in order to get reviews for their website, testimonials and reviews for their website. And I told them about where I was at this stage. So I was on Patreon to support my YouTube channel. Patreon in 2015, so 10 years ago, that's kind of wild. And I was too scared to sell this course because I thought that I was moving from doing Patreon, which felt kind of like doing me being a charity to support me as a lowly musician, to running my own business and selling and asking people to spend money with me for my product because my product was good rather than because they liked me. And during this coaching call, the coach just completely flipped this over and just made me feel a million times better about selling to my audience and that I was providing a service and I'm not forcing anyone to buy. That's the other really important thing to remember. You're not forcing anyone to buy. If they're buying, it's because they want the product. So that was a huge thing for me to learn, that it was okay to sell to my audience. But that leads me to the next important thing to remember, which is that you do not need to do slimy marketing tactics to sell to people, but you do need to tell them that you have something for them. I think there's so much content for people starting out online course businesses, just online businesses in general, that is built around tactics. Sales tactics to get people in the door. And some of them are less questionable than others, but some of them are just kind of really slimy. And they make me feel gross, and you know, I'm sure they make a lot of other people feel gross as well. And what's interesting, I actually hired a marketing agency last year, 2024, to help me with marketing the business and growing it. And they did some of these tactics and they didn't work. It made me feel gross, just like I knew it would. But you know, I tried it. It didn't work for my audience. I also didn't feel good about what I was doing with my business. And the vast majority of my income outside of last year, well, including last year, has come from non-slimy marketing tactics. So I don't think you need to do those slimy marketing tactics. In fact, I think you can kind of boil business down to kind of three important metrics. You know, do you have a great product? Do you have a market need? And do you have great marketing? And as long as you have two of those things, you're going to be fine. So if you have a great product and great market need, but your marketing is a little bit wobbly, it's not the most powerful, you're still going to do fine. And I really believe that. And you need to do things that feel good to you so that you can sleep at night. And also really ask yourself, these people who are telling you how to sell online, what are they selling other than how to sell things online? You know, I'm just putting that out there, okay? Now, next thing that I think a lot of people are afraid of, and this is people who are already on the content creation treadmill, is what happens if I take time away from the platform that I create stuff for? Now, I between 2015 and 2020, I uploaded pretty much one video every single week teaching blues harmonica to YouTube. And if you're curious, you can click on the link in the description below to look at my channel. And some weeks I uploaded 2 videos. It was extremely intense, and I thought that if I took any time away from YouTube, if I stopped doing that, then the almighty algorithm would penalize me and it would be the end of my career, which was entirely based on YouTube. That was what my mind told me. But in 2020, we had our first child. and COVID and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I decided that I wanted to really pull back from content creation and all that kind of stuff because I just wanted to enjoy time with my son. And then in 2022, we had another boy, and I still felt that I wanted to take time away from YouTube and away from putting out content all the time, just to really enjoy these first few years before they start school. And I'm still there. In 2025, it's probably been about 6 months since I uploaded a video to my harmonica channel. Maybe it's a bit less than that, but it's probably been about 6 months since I recorded a video. So yeah, it's okay to take time away from these channels. They'll still be there. My channel is still growing. It's still providing me email leads every month that I market my online harmonica school to. So don't worry about that. It's okay to take time off, and don't fall prey to burnout. And then kind of next and probably final for today, final lesson that I've learned, and this is really important for me. I don't know if it'll be important for you, but that is to not get distracted by what everyone else is doing all the time. It's very easy for me to go into the online music tuition space and look at all of these cool creators who are making lots of amazing Instagram content and TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and traveling around the world and trying out loads of musical instruments and having this really wild, exciting life and doing all of these new courses and all this kind of thing. And quite frankly, it's overwhelming. And if I get a little bit of that from time to time, it's inspiring. But if I just look at that, then I just get paralyzed by fear that I'm not doing enough, and so there's no point doing anything at all. And I remember listening to a Pat Flynn podcast when I first started, and this is what really got me started. Pat Flynn literally gave me the roadmap for how to create an online course business. What I said at the beginning: you get an audience, you collect your audience's emails using a free lead magnet, you then ask them what they want you to make, and then you create it for them. And the important thing was, he said that it takes 3 years to get traction. Now, I know there are people who do it faster, and there are people who do it a lot slower, but for me, it took me 3 years to get traction. So I literally, for the first 3 years of taking the online course creation, audience building, YouTube thing seriously, I just kept my head down and I didn't look at what anyone else was doing. And I think that's extremely important. Start with a plan and stick to it. And you can course correct if it's not working. But I will tell you this, I remember sitting down with my friend Murray and having a coffee, and we were probably about, I don't know, just over 2 years into this 3-year project. And I was saying to him, you know what? Nothing's happened. Nothing has happened, and I don't think it's worth carrying on. I'll probably do another few months, and then you know, can it if there haven't been any significant changes. And I don't really know what significant changes were. I don't know what I was imagining would make me want to stick to it. And within probably 6 months of that point, when we were approaching the 3-year mark, it just hockey sticked. And it really did take 3 years for everything to come together. So, if you got to the end of this, well done. I talk a lot, I waffle, I apologize. And yeah, please subscribe if you want to learn more about running an online creator business with integrity and honestly, and in a way that is fun and good for you as a creator. And I really hope that if you're thinking about getting started, you just start. Don't worry about getting it right from the beginning. Just do it. So comment below if you've already started your business or if you're thinking about starting a business, and tell us what you are going to do. All right, thank you so much. It's so weird. In my harmonica videos, I always sign them off happy harping, but this isn't a harmonica video, so I'm just going to say bye. bye for now, and I'll come up with a more compelling ending, salutation, etc. All right, take it easy.